Hello, and this is Christine Dean, your DFW Networking Diva, connecting you to who you want to know. And I am so excited today because today we have Christie Arnell. I'm going to bring her right in. And she's got a really awesome nonprofit that I think is really important. And news cycles come, they go, but the people are still involved, even if it's outside of the news cycle. So I really think your nonprofit is something we need to continue to talk about. So I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. You're going to have to do it. Christy, tell them about your nonprofit.
Okay, yeah. I have a nonprofit, called Ukraine Unlimited, and it is for Ukraine with all kinds of things. We help with humanitarian things like food, clothing, housing, medical supplies, and many other things. But that's kind of and now even we're trying to get people into housing, homes rebuilt in some areas that are safer. So lots of things going on with Ukraine Unlimited.
Well, and it's interesting. Like I said, that a lot of times people forget about things when it's not top of mind. It's not in the news. We think, oh, it's over, right?
Right.
Isn't that how that works?
Yes.
If it's not in the news, it doesn't exist, right?
Well, it does, but yes, that's kind of how it works. It kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so, yeah, we're trying to always keep Ukraine Unlimited, even though it's not in the news all the time with Ukraine. It pops up every now and again with something big that's going on over there, but we're trying to get awareness going all the time because it is an ongoing issue there with the humanitarian side of things and many other things with that are needs there, great needs there. So yeah, we're always trying to keep that in the forefront of everybody's mind.
Right. When we think about it and what kinds of things we need, right? It's kind of like you hear about a disaster, you hear about something going on, and we think about, okay, well, we need to help now. Well, those people, the problems don't go away overnight, and they're not going to go away in a month or two, right? Sometimes we need to help those humanitarian efforts longer than that, right? And even now, I mean, it's been going on for a while, but we still have issues that need to be dealt with. What kinds of things are we really needing? What are you finding?
Right now, the biggest need is housing. People there are getting still bombed out of their homes, apartments, and things like that, and so they're getting. And even just the last few weeks, people saw that the dam was broken there and flooded out in an entire region, and so all those homes are unlivable. They have water in them, and some of them floated down the river. So between the bombings of the homes, occupation of cities, and some people being able to escape from that, they're coming from the eastern sides and those places that are being attacked and coming over to the western side of Ukraine. And that's where my team is at in all these cities there on the western side, helping people to get into housing of some sort, like with apartments or, they're trying to get into the shelters there when they come. They'll just, in an emergency situation with like the flood that happened there with the dam being broken, with the explosion on it being exploded there and everything got flooded out. They were a Red Cross was putting people onto the trains to get them out of the area and evacuate them really quickly. And but they came over to the west and hoping to find shelter to stay in. And those places are filled. So those are in church buildings and schools and just other places that are able to accommodate that, where people are just sleeping on gym floors or open areas in big buildings. And those are all full. And so they come there and they don't have a place to stay. And so our organization is trying very hard to find home, apartments. We'll try to find something that's affordable for, we've had like a family of four come, a mom, a dad, a grandma, and a son that's like 14. And they were in a bombed city. Their businesses and their apartment was all bombed, and they had to leave quickly and come there and hoping to find something. They were staying in something subpar during the winter time and had no heat, no electricity there. And we're talking about sub-zero temperatures during the wintertime. So we got them into an apartment. And that's the story of many of the people that were helping there. Another young man was in an occupied city, which is Mariupol. And he was 25 years old, had lost his parents. And he was also disabled. He walks with a crutch with one of his legs, has been damaged. And so he's was coming to the western part of the country just for some safety and some shelter, hoping that there was something there for him. And he was sleeping on the train platform because there was no place in the shelters. So we were helping him to find a place as well. So many stories like this. And now, like I said, the people that were flooded out of those places, they are needing places as well. So we're just constantly trying to find that. And people are coming to us. Uh, the need is not, I'm not trying to find the need. They're coming to us. We have lots of, it's insatiable, really. And so we have plenty of people that are in need like this, families, mom, dad, and two little girls, or mom, dad, and a grandma and a baby or something. And so they're trying to find shelter and food when they get there too, and they have no job when they get there. So they have no means of supporting themselves. So these are some of the big issues that we're dealing with and we're trying to solve for them. But we can't do that without help. We have to have funding in our organization to pay for rent, pay for some food for them. Sometimes they've just come with the clothes on their back. And if they were lucky, they were able to grab their documents. But some, you know, don't even have that. So they just have the clothes on their back. Some of the kids and the parents are like, we're fine. We'll just keep wearing our same clothes. But the kids need something. And sometimes the babies have grown out of their clothing. Even they can't even, the moms are concerned they don't have clothing for their children. So it's a very tough situation, but we are happy to help. We want to be there. Our organization wants to do that and to be that support to them. They don't have government programs either, really, for this kind of thing. So, if they were able to find a school that was used as a shelter, they could maybe stay there, but those are all full. I went to them personally. When I was there in September and October for a month, and I saw the shelters in person, these people sleeping on the floor on just little mats in church buildings and school buildings on the gym floors and things like that. And they were elderly, a lot of them. And that was hard on them. And they wanted to go back to their homes and their little comfort area, they just didn't want to be sleeping on a gym floor in some strange town that they were not used to. And they wanted to go back to what was their little comfort zone. And it was sad. And they were, talking to me about it, crying and saying, when asking me, when is this going to end? Do you know? These are, 80-year-old people asking me this and saying, is America going to help us? And they were touched that an American would come and care. And so my whole team is there. They're Ukrainian. And so they know exactly where to get these people placed into apartments. It's a little tricky trying to find places right now because it's all full on that side, but they work really hard to find a place and get these people into some temporary housing.
And I know for a lot of Americans, it's probably hard to wrap their mind around the concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like America's been invaded so many times and our homes have
Right.
all been blown up and we have no place to stay. And what if you didn't have any papers and you couldn't go to the next area, the next country? They can't wrap their minds around that.
Right.
The idea that a dam has busted and flooded the whole area and nobody can go back to their homes. And now all
Right.
these people need to be displaced. We can't wrap our minds around that.
Right. And it's unsafe in those areas, even in maybe areas that were just slightly flooded and maybe it's starting to recede, because in those areas also were Russians had planted mines. And so the they cannot go back there for the sure safety factor. If they go back there, they could be blown up by a mine that has floated and surfaced to the top of the water. And now, if it's receded, it's on the surface of the ground. And these people can't go back to those areas right at all right now until they're deemed as safe and cleared out. But that's not the focus right now. Focus right now is to put all the people on the front line and be in battle right now. They're not, I mean, they can only do so much, so those things are not being, addressed right now. They're like, let's just get them to safer sections of Ukraine on the west side. But one of the problems that's happening is oversaturated. There's so many people coming in droves, millions of people coming to these towns. If you can imagine a town of like normally being 100,000 people, overnight influxing to 1 million.
Right. You just wouldn't have the infrastructure, the systems in place to support that overnight like that.
Right. Right. Exactly. And so we're doing everything we can to, if there's not room in that city, we'll kind of try to find a neighboring city or somewhere else. So we have a pretty good you know, group within our team that can work towards finding what is needed. We try to do our best to keep them where they have come to. If we can find housing, we work with realtors and everything like that, just trying to find apartments. We have to work with a realtor to do apartments in cities. And so they will help us to find apartments. You know, the family of four with the mom and the dad and the grandma and the 14-year-old boy. And the 14-year-old boy has type 1 diabetes too.
Oh,
So we can't just place him anywhere because he has some other health issues too. He has hyperthyroidism and a heart condition. So he's needing to stay near his doctors and other things we found in this next city that he was in. He was in a city that was taking care of all those things. He had access to his doctors and things. And when they got bombed out of their city, they had to travel very far west to this city, and they're unfamiliar with the people there, the hospitals, the doctors. And so they've been trying to find all that, and they found people there that can help them there. They also need help with their doctor bills because they don't have money. The dad didn't come, you get bombed out of a city, you go somewhere and you don't have any money. You don't have any job to rely on. You have to start over. And so, yeah, we've been trying to help. We've worked on getting insulin for this boy and an insulin pump so that he can be okay. And then they've worked really hard to find doctors and hospitals. So if we start moving him around to other cities, that's going to be difficult for him. So we have people with special needs even that really, are relying on us to keep them in that area and work hard to uh, get the funding for them to stay there and have their needs met. And they don't want to be in this situation. They don't like it. They want to be self sufficient. They were before. The dad was just fine. He was able to support his family. He had a couple of retail stores and he was fine supporting his family. He said, I had enough money to pay to support my whole family when I lived in my hometown, Kharkiv. And he's like, and I was able to pay for my son's doctor bills, his insulin and other things, and the therapies that he needed and things like that. And he's like, coming here, I don't have that kind of a job. I don't have my retail stores; those got blown up, and my apartment did too. And we don't have that anymore. And so, yeah, they're just
well,
in.
and you think about it from a business perspective, they always talk about acts of God. Is war covered by insurance? I mean,
No,
can
no,
you imagine, right? It's like I've had a couple of retails. Oh, insurance will pay for it, is what Americans think, right? But
right. No, and no, that's not covered there. Homes are not covered there. There's a young couple from Mariupol that we've been helping, and they're in their late 20s. That they've both been working very hard to both create a life for themselves. They have a little baby boy that's like 20 months old, and they had just saved and saved and saved. He's a real estate agent, and they had saved and saved and saved their money to buy their first apartment. There, you buy apartments similar to what we do with a condo, but you can buy individual, like an apartment complex. You can buy an apartment there, and that's what most people do because that's what's most affordable. Like I would say, 95% of Ukrainians own or rent apartments, don't live in homes. And so they had saved all their money up to do that, and bought their very first apartment. We're so proud of the work that they had put into that. And then not 2 months later, it got completely bombed. Thankfully, none of them were in it at the time that it got bombed, but they had to just flee with nothing to the west of where our team is at. They're in the far west town where they receive them and help them. And we've been helping them with food and some clothing for the baby and other things like that. A lot of people ask me, can I send you food? Can I send you clothing and things like that? And my answer is our organization does not do that because I have been advised by many other nonprofits that are helping, that are kind of higher up even than me, that would, and working with Ukraine for a long time. And even with Ukraine itself, it's just not the best idea to do that, because one, if I do that and I collect all those things and I send them there, I'm spending thousands of dollars on shipping. And that's a waste of money, in my opinion. That could be, those thousands of dollars on shipping could have been used to buy more food, more clothing, and pay for somebody's rent. And so that doesn't make any sense to me to waste money on shipping. And then the other thing is, they have all those things there. There's a very few things that I cannot get in Ukraine for these people. We can get food. They have a food supply chain going. We can get clothing. They have that still there. And so, um, we need to stimulate the economy in Ukraine by buying within Ukraine.
Mhm.
And not to mention the fact that it'll get there so much faster. I can get, if somebody's needing food, I can get it to them that day or the next day. And because my team will immediately go shopping with them in person to get the things they actually use in their family to eat there. If we send it from here, we're also sending food that maybe they wouldn't eat there. So they would eat the food, but it's just culturally, I think it's better if we purchase the food there and they're buying what they would eat there and use and know how to cook and all of that kind of thing. So my team will immediately go out, go shopping with that, the funds. I just can send it immediately what is needed, or we also have an account there that we send to, and it's we have money ready to go for people that are needing those things. We'll go shopping with them and then get them supplied with what they're needing immediately, instead of waiting 4 weeks for maybe some dry goods to come in the mail that wait a lot because they are canned goods and other things, and we're paying that additional amount for shipping, and all of that money could have gone to the, my team to go buy food or pay for somebody's rent.
Right. So you really are working with the families there in
Yes,
Ukraine
yes,
directly, and a
yes,
hands-on, one-on-one, sending
yes,
your workers to go in and actually
yes.
work with the people. You're not just donating the money to the local church or to a church school, or
No.
you're not doing that. You guys are actually going in, finding the people that need the help and directly providing that aid of exactly what they're needing.
Yes, and I have met them in person. The people that we're helping, I have met them. And so I know who are, and if we have additional people, I also meet them at least through video call. But when I was there, I met a lot of them that we were helping in person. I interviewed them and spent time with them and listened to their stories and wanted to let them know that we actually cared, and somebody all the way from America is coming and cares about them as individuals, that and their families, that we we care about them.
Well,
And
and
other
it's not gonna go away, right? This is an
Right,
ongoing thing, and they need ongoing support for now. It's just the way that it is,
right,
you know? As much
right.
as we'd like it to be over,
Yes, and I understand people are like, "Wow, we're kind of tired of hearing the stories of Ukraine, or kind of, maybe burned out of all of that." And like, oh, you can imagine how
imagine
burned
living
out
it,
the people living in it are, burned out of it. Yes,
right?
they would like this nightmare to be over with too. And
Absolutely, and so we understand these are short-term solutions, and in the
right,
long term, right, they're gonna end up having to get the infrastructure built out, and they're gonna have permanent solutions, but we're not in a position right now to do that. If you have to continue to worry
right,
about bombings, there's no sense in
right,
rebuilding something that's gonna be blown up again.
right. Long term, that is. I mean, a lot of people ask me that too. They say, is this just something temporary that you're doing to help Ukraine? And when the war ends, you'll, that'll be it. And I'm like, no, right now we're, like you said, managing all these emergency situations and temporary things going on with them. But yeah, long term, our goal is to help with the rebuilding. There are gonna be people that need homes, like this Mariupol family. There's no government program, FEMA or something, that's stepping in with their government to pay for the home that was lost, and their insurance isn't covering all that. That's just not how it works there. And so they lost all of that money that they invested in their apartment. It's gone. Their things are gone. Their home is gone. And right now, we're just helping them temporarily to get by. But yes, I would love to see this little family eventually us get over there once the war is over and rebuild a home for them through our organization, helping them to do that. And so, yes, long term, I will be there for the rebuild of people's homes and other things there, schools, homes, and other things that were blown up and needing that. Because if people go back to a town that they were in and somehow were able to get into a place to stay and they have children, if the schools are not there, then they can't live there. So we're going to have to start with schools and things like that too. So, but
All
yes,
the infrastructure back in place,
yeah,
you got to rebuild it all, and that's going to take some time. This is not a problem that's going to get solved overnight, and
no,
it's going to take a while to get this taken care of. It doesn't, and just not because it's not in the news doesn't mean it isn't happening,
right.
right? We need to pay
Very true.
attention.
Very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to what's going on. And really, how did you get involved with all this? Because this is a huge undertaking you've taken on. And as an American, we tend to, it happens over there. This is things that we see in movies. This is things that you hear about and always happens somewhere else. It doesn't happen here. So it's hard for us to relate. So how did you get dived into this?
Yeah, that's a great question. My daughter actually served a church mission back in 2015 to 2016 in Kyiv, Ukraine, and all of some of the surrounding cities, like pretty big portion of Kyiv, and then outside of that, some cities outside of that. During that time frame for about 19 months, and so I connected with people through social media through her, kind of that she was meeting and becoming friends with. And then after her mission, we turned right back around 3 weeks later and went back together and visited Ukraine and saw these areas that she was in, saw all the fun things of beautiful parts of Ukraine there in that area, and visited, stayed in people's homes. And like the almost the entire time we were there for little over 3 weeks, and we did not stay like except for one night in a hotel.
Wow.
People were insistent on us staying in their homes and saving that money. They fed us their food and they became close friends of mine. And they were just beautiful people. And am still very close friends with many of them today. I connect with Ukraine every single day. I call and talk to my friends regularly and my team every day. So it's very much a part of my life. I After I left there, though, I've had that first visit with my daughter. I thought, wow, these people are so wonderful and they're trying so hard with their country, trying to pull themselves up out of all the mess that was a part of the USSR. And now that in 1991, when they became their own independent country, they've been trying to fight for their own independence and economy and all those things and trying to make it. But, that's hard to do in the beginning. And in beginning, maybe 30 years, but that's still beginning for that's a
Mhm.
very, very new country. And the economy, they've had lots of ups and downs with leadership that's not maybe the best over the last few, 20 some odd years. So they've been fighting against that and other oppressions and problems that Russia has on and off caused, not just during this wartime right now. It's been ongoing for many years. They've had, uh, the Crimean War and other things that went on in 2014 and things before that. I mean, it's just been tough for them. So they're struggling. They have been economically for a long time, and people are just like trying to do anything they can. They were doing they'd work all day, take care of their families, feed them dinner, and then start working. A lot of them are women late at night, hand making things, little crafts and Ukrainian crafts, and trying to sell those within their own country, which was not as successful. So I thought, well, I could start a little business to help them sell them here in the United States at no benefit to me other than to volunteer and help them with that. And so that's what I did. And I did that business for 6 years. I even went back in 2018 to visit a lot of the people that we had brought back into the business, and added young people in as our runners and shippers and things like that. And it was awesome. It was a fun thing. And that even was full time for me too. And it was functioning as a nonprofit even at that time. And I loved being able to help them. And I got the feedback of, when you bought those Ukrainian handmade ties that I made for men's ties out of Ukrainian fabric, and you bought those from me and to sell to people, the amount of money that you gave me for that, unexpectedly, my mother went into the hospital the next day. And your exact amount that you gave me paid her hospital bill. And I was able to pay my college tuition with the money that I got working for Ukraine Unlimited, because it was called Ukraine Unlimited since 7 years ago. And so I was able to pay my college tuition, or I was able to save my money and come on a school visa to the US. I had some that were able to do that, and others, I was able to pay my rent this month because of that. And so that really, was I guess the start of Ukraine Unlimited was that. And then, but when the war broke, and my daughter also in 2018, just before I went back to Ukraine to visit my people that I was bringing in, she actually married a Ukrainian. So I have a forever connection with all of that. And when the war broke out, it was very personal to me. And these were my friends. I had stayed in their homes, and I visited more places and cities in Ukraine when I went back in 2018. So I started seeing even more places gathered. I had a huge connection with people there. And so, of not just Kyiv, but Lviv, Chernivtsi, and some other places. So, and then my daughter's husband's family is from Odessa. So that's just like, and I had then further friends in Mariupol and all these other cities. And then I'm friends with the Ukrainian group here in Dallas. A lot of them are from Kharkiv and some other places. So I have connections all over Ukraine. My friends are all over Ukraine, and I connect with them regularly. And during the war, I was calling them and asking them, do you need a place to stay? Is your city getting bombed out? Do you need to move? Do you need to get out of Ukraine? And I helped some get to West Ukraine, some single moms with children that were trying to get away from their city being bombed. I helped those some get out of Ukraine to Poland and to Estonia, to Czech Republic, and eventually to Canada and to the US on those refugee programs. So I've done a lot with that as well. But my main focus is always going to be within Ukraine, because once they leave Ukraine to go to Canada or US or something like that on our U4U program, there's programs set up for them, state programs and federal funding and charity programs and things like that set up for them. But within Ukraine, my friends that are there, they don't have those programs. So they rely on nonprofits like mine for the things that they're needing there. So that's basically how it all kind of got started and where we're at today as
Well,
just
so Christie, are there still opportunities for people that want to support the program by buying items that are being made over there? Is that
yeah,
part of what you're offering?
in the areas where people are still able to make their items, which there's still quite a few that are able to do that. Yes. And you can find those in my photos on Facebook. I don't have it set up as a store or on my website for purchase at this point, because that's kind of a fluid situation there with that could change anytime. And then also the market is fluctuating constantly with rate exchanges and things. So if you want to buy one of those items that you see on Facebook and my photo album on there, just message us on there and I can make arrangements to get whatever you're wanting. We have all kinds of fun things like the nesting dolls that are hand painted. We have a set of those that are the traditional kinds, but we also have some coming up with the holidays coming up this fall. I know that's kind of not on people's minds yet, but this fall we have nativity sets of those and regular nativity sets. We have men's ties that are made of Ukrainian fabric and embroidered. There's sewn ties, but also has the embroidery put on them. They're beautiful. And then we have men's and women's t-shirts and blouses and men's shirts that are embroidered as well. And these are all made by Ukrainian people. So many other items though that we have, and just go take a look on our Facebook page and my out photos and then albums. If you'll go on there and you'll see those things, there are a lot of fun items on there that could be for gifts for any time of the year, something unique and fun, Ukrainian. And if you buy one, then you're also helping a Ukrainian support themselves. So,
So they can shop on there, on your Facebook. So we have the Facebook page up here, facebook.com/Ukrainian Unlimited. So they have a place to go to do that shopping. And
yes.
let's say, they really want that money to just go directly to helping. So they really want to donate and that's what they want to do. How should they do that?
They could just go right to my website to donate if they want to do that. And the website's actually listed on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn. You can find all those there. It's ukraineunlimited.org. So www.ukraineunlimited.org. And right there, it has donate buttons on the page, and it'll take you straight to PayPal to donate right there. If you would prefer to do it on Venmo, if that's your preference of paying that way, we have on PayPal and Venmo. If you go straight to those websites, you can find Ukraine Unlimited there, and our organization page right there. So just look us up that way if that's your preference of payment. And you can find us on those. We have our organization pages there. And if there's another way you would prefer to pay, just contact me directly. And you can message me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, or I have my phone number there too on Facebook. You can call me, text me. Lots of ways to get a hold of me.
Right. And I know we think about America, talk about the melting pot, or, we're culturally diverse. And so, your heritage, where does that come from? Right. And so we need to think about that. We all came from somewhere.
Yes.
Right. And you may have been born in America, but that doesn't mean your ancestors were.
Right.
Right. So we're all from somewhere. We're all immigrants originally. And
True.
if that's the case, right, we need to be looking out for other countries. Like you said, it's all part of this world culture.
Yes. And, as a country, as America, we are for freedom. We're for independence. We're for democracy. And so we want other countries to have that. If we don't, something's wrong. And
Right.
some people are very, they're like, well, why should we help another country that's not ours? Because we are in support of other countries that are fighting for their freedom. And they want that. They want freedom, independence, and democracy in their own country. And we should be supportive of that.
Well,
And
and we would hope that if we were in that situation and we were having the same kind of problems, somebody was bombing us, we didn't have a home, they were destroying our dams, flooding our homes, losing our livelihoods, having
yes,
to flee to another area of our country, right?
mhm,
We can't even imagine that. But if we
no,
were under attack like that, and being independent as we
yeah,
are, thinking that other people wouldn't help us,
right.
that's sad.
And all my Ukrainian friends say, if anything ever happens to you, and it's really sweet, they're such a small country compared to, it's about the size of Texas. Texas is a little bit bigger than Ukraine, but they're really sweet. They're like, we've felt the support so much from America that if ever anything happened to you guys, we would be right there to help you. And so I'm like, wow, that's, and I would hope that we would feel that way right now towards them, that we want to just be there to help them. And even though they're on the other side of the globe, I know that. But this is not out of our reach to do that. Through my organization, we are connected globally and we can help people across the globe very easily now. We have ways to send money, we have ways to get the word of what we're needing. With technology today, there's no limits
Mhm.
of how we can help.
Absolutely. Well, so if people are wondering what's going on, tune back in, find out what's going on. Just because it hasn't been in the news doesn't mean it's an issue, not an issue. You need to pay attention and know what's going on, not just what's in the latest news cycle and what's going on with the latest celebrities. All right. There's real things going on in the real
Right,
world and they need our help. So
right,
if this is something that's pulling at your heart and you're saying, you know what, I want to help with another country that's trying to be independent. They're having a hard time. I hope somebody would help me if I was in that situation. Check out their website, right? That's ukraineunlimited.org, right? Go over, check it out, see what they've got on there, find out what you can do to help and donate. and take a look at their Facebook page, and maybe there's something you'd like to purchase, right? You never too early to buy something for holidays, birthday presents, whatever it is, something unique, right? And it's a great way to help stimulate the economy over there. We would hope that if we had the situation reversed, that somebody would help us. So just thank you so much for everything you're doing, Christie, to help with the cause and helping with the Ukraine and what everything that's going on over right there. That's just, you've got your hands in it deep, and they need that. They really do. And we appreciate you that you opened up your heart to find room and space in your heart to help with something so important.
Yes, thank you so much, Christine. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me about this. It's something so near and dear to my heart with friends and even family now there. It's just something that I felt compelled to do, especially having my deep connections there, that I could not turn my back on this situation. I needed to dive in and get deeply involved like this.
Mhm.
And I knew I could. If I didn't do it, who would?
Right.
I know I was the right person to do that with my connections and my knowledge of helping already with the little business that I had for them prior to this, these 6 years prior to the war, and now 7 years total with all of that. I just knew that I was the right person to get in there and roll up my sleeves and get to work.
Absolutely. Is there any last words you'd like to share um, about what you're doing, what you're hoping for, what you want help with? Any last words for us?
Um, just if you're thinking, okay, I don't have very much money. I know a lot of people are stressed economically at this time, and I've heard that. But even if you have $5, that'll help feed somebody, and a cumulative. If we accumulate the $5, everybody's $5, it adds up.
Mhm.
And so, please go there and donate to help the hunger issues and the home housing issues that we're facing right now. None of this goes, I have nobody in my administration or anybody in my whole organization is paid, including me. It's all voluntary, and it has been this entire time for the 7 years. I've never been paid for anything that I've done. In fact, I've invested my own savings, and so has my team that are Ukrainians. They've invested their own life savings as well into getting this organization up and running and donating to it ourselves. So if you could find it in your heart to donate also and to help out, that would be great. We would love to get that money passed along to the Ukrainian people.
Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you for sharing your story and the story of the Ukrainian people. And thank you so much for what you're doing over there.
Thank you.
So that's another episode of DFW Networking Diva, connecting you to who you want to know. So hopefully now you know a little bit more of what's going on and still going on in Ukraine, so you can give a hand. If that's something that you can do, I know they'd appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.